send in a poster, but they accepted my Ignite talk, so here goes. I'm sort of an introvert, but so the vast majority of Americans agree that research is critical to move the frontiers of knowledge ahead. But you can see here the top reasons why people choose to participate in clinical trials. However, finding people to participate in clinical trials, especially trials that are not therapeutic in nature, is very, very difficult. However, the potential pool of participants is often overestimated. Recruitment challenges. About 1% of the US population partakes in clinical trials. 30% of clinical trial sites fail to recruit even a single participant. Less than 10% of clinical trials are completed on time. So in 2009 at Vanderbilt, we launched ResearchMatch. ResearchMatch is fully funded by the NIH. It is available at no cost, so I'm not up here selling anything. ResearchMatch is a secure online volunteer recruitment and engagement platform designed to facilitate the completion of trials across the US. The reason ResearchMatch works is because it's based on the collaboration of the CTSA organizations across America, Stanford being one of them. The CTSAs are the Clinical and Translational Scientific Award winners. They're large academic medical centers. Almost every one of them is on ResearchMatch, but ResearchMatch is also available to other nonprofit foundations and institutions that are doing research. There are currently 128 institutions on ResearchMatch. And they're across the whole US. And what's awesome about this is that IRB oversight is coming from these institutions. So how does ResearchMatch work? It starts by having the volunteers sign on, create a username and a password, and they give us some information about themselves. They can give us health conditions and medications if they choose. It's not mandated. Currently, we have 102,000 volunteers on ResearchMatch waiting to be contacted about research studies. We have 128 institutions on ResearchMatch, and you can see here the researcher at one of those institutions in our network comes on, gives us IRB-approved contact message information, and they can narrow down to a cohort of people that they want to contact through our filtering system using de-identified information, and then they put in their IRB-approved contact message, and ResearchMatch emails it on their behalf. The emails look like this. They are not branded by any institution in particular. Again, it is disease neutral and institution neutral. The volunteer has the final decision to say yes or no, they are interested in hearing about this research study. If they say yes, their information is forwarded to the researcher. If they say no, their anonymity is protected by ResearchMatch. We also launched a clinical trial search engine last year. This is basically a reskinned version of clinicaltrials.gov. This whole operation was created by Paul Harris, who also created REDCap. We are currently getting over 5,000 hits every month on our trial finder. So we think a lot about returning value to participants, and as a nurse and a recruiter, I can tell you that thanking people is the most important thing. Making them feel valued. We've all done a lot of talking about that over the last 2 days. Currently on ResearchMatch, we have a results page where we're pulling from PubMed, and we're putting these manuscripts that are associated with ResearchMatch directly onto our trial finder. We have access to information. We have access to patient advocacy groups, and we communicate through social media and in our newsletter. To expand the project's outreach, we partner with patient advocacy organizations that are large and national, and also small community groups as well. So ResearchMatch helps to tear down some barriers that are associated with being in a clinical trial. People from minority groups, the elderly, people in rural populations are often underrepresented in clinical trials for a number of barriers. ResearchMatch can't do all of that, but we try to break down the barrier by at least inviting people to be in the study. But of course, the problem's not fixed. So what we do with Paul Harris is we build small, we evaluate, and we evolve. We recently won the NIH Recruitment Innovation Center Award. So now we finally have two nickels to rub together. So maybe we can advertise ResearchMatch so that somebody doesn't say, oh, I've never heard of that when I talk about ResearchMatch. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start innovating again. We're going to start thinking about pulling in electronic health records. We're going to do research on research. If anybody out there wants to do that, that's what we want to do. Because we need a multifaceted, out-of-the-box approach rather than small changes to the status quo. My name is Loretta Byrne, and I'm the project manager of ResearchMatch. And you can tell I'm a bit of an introvert, but thank you for listening.
That was great, Loretta. Thank you so much. No, don't worry, you did awesome. Can I ask you a question? Is that cool? Can you come back so
Sure.
you can see? So, because I was thinking, well, because we don't have anything like this in Australia. So
Okay.
I was thinking, well, you're presenting on this stuff, and I'm like, God, if that's available, why all clinical trials should be fully booked, full of people to trial? And so, but then you mentioned at the end about, you know, no one knows who you are because you haven't had any money to advertise. Tell us a bit about that.
So again, you know, this is based on collaboration, which is a nice buzzword, but in academic medicine, we're also very competitive. So it's tricky. And really, if we're going to make a change, we have to be collaborative. We have to all start using ResearchMatch. Stop building the same thing over and over again. We've already got one. Let's use it. I want you all to, you gave me a soapbox. I'd love to have you all sign up as volunteers. There's no obligation to ever be in a research study, but you know, research studies are not all scary and horrible.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. Look, thank you. I wanted to give you some, but I wanted to check that you were okay to come back here as well. So, all right, so you see the future as being pretty bright for ResearchMatch then, now that you can let people know. And one of the things I was thinking, if I'm a researcher, and so many clinicians are also researchers as well, it's in their best interest. So do they tell patients about this? Are there flyers in GP offices and things like that?
Yes, please. If you have, especially if you have somebody who did not qualify for your clinical trial, you hate to have their last thought be, well, thanks, but you didn't qualify. At least tell them about ResearchMatch. They can get on there and they can hear about other trials that might fit them. And studies that are on ResearchMatch do not have to be big, large clinical trials. They can be small investigator-initiated trials as well, as long as they have IRB approval or they're exempt.